Hey guys, it's Ghosty and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving my review that is not spoiler free of Overlord. Overlord is a World War II / zombie film that came out in 2018, directed by Julius Avery. I was pretty excited for it. A lot of it has to do with zombies. Some of it has to do with the fact that the trailer was just pretty interesting. I was really interested to see where this film went, and to my surprise, I wasn't disappointed. It's not my favorite film, but I really enjoyed it. I love the character, especially the main protagonist. I think that it has a good story. I'm basically gonna give a general premise of the film. So the film starts out with a paratrooper squad that is on a plane and they're on a mission to take down a radio tower. I believe this actually takes place a day before D-Day. In the beginning of the movie, we kind of get to know the main cast, the protagonist, Boyce, who I absolutely love. He's a sweetheart, he's a cinnamon roll, he's perfect, and if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't care too much for this film. We meet Ford, who's kind of like the complete opposite. He isn't necessarily an asshole, but he's just so focused on like the job at hand that he doesn't make the best like decisions, the most ethical decisions, I would say. We also meet the comic relief characters and some other like side characters that are important to the plot. The plane goes down and the paratrooper squad is dispersed. It leaves Boyce, Ford, and one of the comic relief characters, Tibbet. They're maneuvering in the forest, trying to find a way, trying to continue the mission of taking down this radio tower. They come across this like local villager. Her name is Chloe. She's a fucking absolute badass. When I first saw her, I didn't think that she'd be important at all. I thought that it was just gonna be like a random side character. She became really important and essential, and she's super badass. They basically ask her like, hey, can you lead us to this area? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I live with my brother and my aunt. By the way, my aunt's real sick. Don't go in the room. By then you know she's a zombie, but the way this film does the whole zombie thing, and I almost wish that it didn't do it this way. It would have been beneficial had they not made it so clear that this is a zombie film in the trailer. They don't actually like hint towards them until the end. Honestly, overall, zombies aren't like the main focus in this film, and I don't hate that at all. I don't, because of some other things that I'll get into, but they're very like subtle about like the zombie thing. For a long time in the movie, they're just like, the aunt's sick, she's sick, but it's obvious that she's sick with like some zombie virus thing. They get to the house. Ford, who is taking upon himself to like lead the group, is just like, okay, this is what we gotta do. He like kind of devised a plan to get to this radio tower. This guy, Watsner, that I call him the super Nazi, comes in and kind of sexually harasses Chloe. Boyce basically interrupts it, and the super Nazi is like, what the fuck? Ford captures him. Boyce then leaves to go find this radio tower and gets caught in some deep shit. He gets lost and he sees the tower, but he ends up in this underground facility where we kind of learn about the background of these zombies. These doctors, scientists are experimenting on people. At some point in the movie, they reference to the aunt going to the church and coming back really sick, so they're taking people to the church, experimenting on them. They're, no surprise, trying to make a superhuman. I can remember that being a thing in early zombie films. The government's creating this serum to make people superhuman, and they just turn into zombies. He's like seeing these things and he's like, what the fuck? And he comes across one of the other paratroopers that were on the plane, which is actually his closest friend. His name is Jacob. He's like got this tube in his fucking stomach. It was actually kind of gross, but he ends up like saving him and taking him back. So he gets back and they're like, dude, this serum, like what the fuck? And Ford is torturing super Nazi, like, what is this? Tell me what this is. What does the serum do? Blah, blah, blah. And he's not budging. So they devise to go back as a team to take down this radio tower. In the midst of it, this sweet photographer boy, I haven't mentioned him, but Chase, who's a photographer, he's really passionate about taking photos. He made a mistake and allows the super Nazi to escape. This results in him dying. Boyce takes it upon himself to inject him with the fucking serum. And he comes back as a zombie, so we get to see how it starts and how they turn. I almost don't even want to refer to them as a zombie because it's more so like a rabid human. It's like they're aware, they're conscious, they're just rabbit and like want to fucking kill. So he gets all crazy and then they like have to kill him, obviously. And then the super Nazi fucking like escapes. Ford's like, oh, we gotta take down this tower. And Boyce is just like, also, they're experimenting on these people. We should probably do something about it. And Ford was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, we should probably do something about it. Ford finally fucking budges and is like, okay, fine, whatever. So they go and do that. We get to see Chloe be a fucking badass and take down some super zombies because they basically like release the zombies on them. It's basically like a showdown, Ford against the super Nazi who turns himself into a zombie. And then at some point, Ford turns himself into a zombie. So it's like two zombies trying to beat each other. And Boyce takes down a couple of people. At the end, Ford is just like, Boyce, you know what you need to do. You know, take down this tower, complete the mission. Boyce is like, I don't want to leave you, Ford. Although Ford's like a fucking zombie. He's like, you have to. And that scene was kind of like annoying because it's like, Boyce, like how sweet can you be? Like, just chill, just let this guy go. So he does, and the place explodes and everything is saved. Overall, I really like this movie. There's not a lot of the zombie thing, but the fear of like Nazis is real in this film. The super Nazi guy is terrifying, and to the point to where I was uncomfortable watching him on screen. I think that the fact that it played on this fear of the Nazis at that time, it really worked, and it's still true to being a horror film. If you're looking for an all-zombie film, you're not going to be happy. Going into it, I'm like, if this is more of a war film than a zombie film, I'm going to hate it, but I didn't. I just think that they did a really good job of doing that and touching on some very important things while still having some pretty like decent kills and pretty like gory shit that I love in horror films. I also really enjoyed this greenish type filter that was over it. I'm a sucker for aesthetic in films. That greenish filter kind of gave me like some Saw vibes. I was really into it. Another reason why I enjoyed this mostly war film was because it was shot like a horror film. I gave this film a 3.5 stars. I almost gave it 4, but the zombies are actually zombies. And I didn't really care too much for that. It makes sense for the film, but it was like, okay, we see these zombies and they're kind of just like superhumans. Like, okay. These zombies could talk, and it's like they had brains. It wasn't like they were brainless, and I like brainless zombies. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you like this video, you can subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notifications when I post new content. If you want updates on movies that I'm currently reviewing and watching, follow me on Letterboxd at Ghosty. If you want to hear me scream into the void, follow me on Twitter at Ghosty. See you in the next video.